It's rare that I find someone that doesn't want to be a little bit smarter, that have better mental concentration and mental stamina, and this is the video that talks about how you can stay smarter. Hello everyone, Dr. Jason West with today's topic is about how to protect your memory, how to stay smart, or if you'd like to get smarter, what you can do for that. And I jokingly tease my wife, I don't care about gray hair and wrinkles because I think you can slow down the age train, but you're never ever going to stop it. But if I lose my mind or my memory, bad things are going to happen. So I'm really sensitive to brain health. Matter of fact, it's one of those closet hypochondriac things where you read about brain health. I don't want that. I better take this pill, or I better do this exercise, or I better eat this food. And at one time I was taking probably 20 pills 3 times a day for brain health. I overloaded on it, and I just got pill fatigue. But the reason why that was so easy to do is because you lose your ability to think, to rationale. And some of the saddest cases that I see in the office are on dementia and on Alzheimer's, not always for the patient, because many times the patient doesn't know what's happening, but for the caregiver, it's really devastating. When your spouse that you've been married to for decades and decades, or have a long-term relationship with, doesn't remember you or can't remember some of the activities you've done, it's really hard on the caregiver. So I have a soft spot in my heart and in my patient load for people that have dementia. So what can you do about it? Well, I think that there's 5 causes for things that contribute to the downfall of staying smarter, the downfall of your ability to think through things. And number 1, we want to understand, is there a genetic component associated with that? Did you get bad DNA from your mom and bad DNA from your dad, and it came together and you just won the reverse lottery and you just have a risk factor? And the earlier on you understand that and take steps to prevent it, the better are you able to ward off that DNA or that Mother Nature stuff that's coming. But you want to understand your family history. The next thing is, are you getting enough fats? And the fats you're getting, are you absorbing? So a lot of times people are mistaking fats for, pizza fat or French fry fat or inappropriate fats or saturated fats. And what we're talking about is unsaturated, healthy fats, avocados, coconut oil, virgin olive oil, some of these other oils that are really healthy for you. And are you getting enough? And just as important, are you breaking it down? Because sometimes what happens is people get the right fats and then they don't get them into the tissues. And that's under control of your liver and your gallbladder axis or relationship. Now, you can live without your gallbladder. If you don't have one and it's been taken out because it got diseased, you need to take a couple extra steps. If fatty foods upset you, or you're getting pain that radiates in your side and up underneath your right shoulder blade, that can be a classic sign that your gallbladder is either gummed up, or if it isn't working, it's not storing the bile, and the bile is what helps to break down and emulsify fats. So I tell people it's kind of like washing dishes. You can wash dishes with cold soapy water and it doesn't work very well, or you can work with hot soapy water, and the hot is from your core temperature, and the soap is actually your liver and your gallbladder. Now, when we talk about fats and absorbing fats, what I tell people is it's like washing dishes with water, or with water and soap. So you may be able to get most of your dishes clean if you're just washing with water. But if you add soap to the component, it really helps to get the grease and the oils off of your dishes, and your GI and your liver system is just the same. So your liver makes bile. Bile helps to emulsify or break down fats. When it creates an excess of bile, it stores it up in the gallbladder, which is a bile storage container. Now, sometimes the gallbladder gets backed up with disease, has to be taken out, but you still have to create bile to emulsify fats. One of the best things that I've seen to evaluate that is to look at your cholesterol levels, your triglyceride levels, and if they're too low, it's a major concern. Now, some of you are out there looking at this going, wait a minute, my doctor says the lower it gets, the better. That's not true. Cholesterol is like blood sugar. Too high is bad. Too low is bad. Matter of fact, too low is really scary, because your ability to create hormones and insulate nerves and brain function, if you get too low, all of those things are affected, and it's like stripping insulation out of your body. So we want to make sure that we don't have a DNA component you're getting, or if you do have it, to what you can do about it. You want to make sure that you're getting fats in the system, that you're breaking down the fats. And then anytime that there's brain dysfunction, you want to make sure that there's not some type of chronic infection. And there was a really interesting study that came out of the British Journal of Medical Practitioners that talked about the role of chronic infection in demyelinating conditions, which means we're stripping the insulation off of nerves, psychiatric disorders, brain dysfunction disorders, and it's very common to have viruses, the hepatitis virus, the herpes virus, the Epstein-Barr virus, parvovirus, cytomegalovirus, the chickenpox virus. All of those can be a factor in brain conditions. And then the last one is, are you around a bunch of chemicals? Because chemicals typically love fat, and if you're around a lot of chemicals and your phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways are full, what happens is chemicals get around the nerves, they get into the fat cells, and they don't like to leave, and it causes dysfunction. So what can you do to be smart? The first thing is you've got to pump blood everywhere. You've got to move, and you've got to exercise. It's so critical for health. I think it's just as important as getting enough sleep and getting right food in your system. You have to move. Movement is life. I really like those heat therapies from saunas, from infrared saunas, for heat from exercise, from sweat lodges. You look at different populations and civilizations, they all have some type of traditional heat therapy in their populations. And the reason why is it really helps with those conditions. Now with brain function, if you don't use it, you lose it. So you need to use your brain. And one of the worst things I see for people is they retire and then they really relax and then they watch a lot of TV. And I think TV really has a tendency to lower the activity of the brain. You don't get as much alpha and beta waves and stuff going through your system. It's harder to do nothing on your brain than it is to watch TV. So don't be watching TV excessively. And then crossword puzzles and Sudoku and memorizing things are really important for health. Now, some supplements that are really, really important and are good for health is something called glycerylphosphocholene. Favorite thing to recommend for people that have brain fog, they can't remember names, can't remember where they put their kids, or they get in the car to drive to the store, then they forget that they were going to the store. They go home, their spouse says, "Did you pick up the milk or did you pick up the eggs?" "No, I forgot." So the glycerylphosphocholene is pure brain food. It's from Nature's NX. I really like that. And then there's one called the Electrician, which gives all of your herbal components like gotu kola, kava kava, ginkgo biloba, those neat things that really help brain function. And then the last thing that I really like for staying smart is neural therapy. So neural therapy is a way to reboot the nerves associated with brain function. You take a little B vitamin, a little syringe, you inject the widest circumference around the head. It makes the nerves open and close and reboot. So understanding your genetic components, making sure you're getting the right fats, which are unsaturated fats. Your knife and fork are always your best source of supplements. But if you need supplements, you want to make sure that you're breaking down the fats with your liver and gallbladder, that we're using glycerylphosphocholene, that you can support nerve health through different type of herbal therapies, and you get the brain to restart with neural therapy. Hey, thanks for watching our video about how to train your brain to stay healthy, what supplements and interventions you can do to maximize your brain health. We'll see you on the next video.